Hello my loyal companions, welcome back to the channel and to another episode of Rogue Revealed, the series where I take you through everything you need to know about Rogue Company. In today's video I want to go back to the map guides and kick it off with WINDWARD, a map that I think is probably one of the hardest to play in Rogue Company. If you do go on to enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, but for now, let's get into it. Going into an overview of WINDWARD, what you'll see is the attackers start in this northern area and the defenders down in the southern area of the map, with sites B and A located here. WINDWARD is your kind of standard 3-lane map with one side going down the right towards A long line of sight here down the middle, and then another site down the left going towards B. What makes WINDWARD one of the harder maps for me, I think, is because of how long it is and how long it takes you to actually traverse the map. When you're on defense, your rotations tend to be quite slow because of the distance you have to travel. I mean, you have to be really on it, and for a lot of teams that is quite difficult. Whilst for attackers, it can be quite a long way for you to actually get onto the site, and you can be seen quite easily as you cross past the different areas of the map, particularly around this midsection, where it's quite obvious to spot you before you even get there. If we have a look at the different areas of engagement, then what you'll see is they tend to be down these three avenues. The long line of sight obviously is one of massive contention. There is a big site, a lot of fighting that goes on down A here in this area we call cannons specifically, a lot of crossfire with three different points of view on that A site. And then B happens slightly more off site, and is this weird little funnel that can be really difficult for attackers mainly to try and breach through. There is a zip that goes down this left hand side here that I'll get onto in our points of interest, but it tends to be B side as quite a difficult side to push from attacking side. Going over those points of interest, I'll start with the zip wire. I mentioned there is a zip wire here from basically the attacker side spawn onto the B site. It is a very high risk area. Of course, when you're sending people across the zip wire, they can't shoot as accurately as normal, and it obviously makes a very audible sound for the enemy team to know that you're coming that way, and tends to be a very risky strategy. But if you can pull it off, gets you straight onto the site, all you then got to do is clear out the site, plant your bomb, and it's a very easy defend from there. The other zip wire occurs on this other side of the map. Again, when you spawn in from the attacker's side, you go through this little tunnel straight onto a zip, and then you go basically onto the main engagement area of the A side of the map. It's the only real way you can get to that side of the map at the same time the enemy will, and that is really key on this side because of how highly contested that area of the map is. There's not so much risk with that zip, it's more just out of convenience to move back and forth. It doesn't actually tend to be that dangerous for you. Going on to then this sort of midsection, which mainly defines the site around B, is this platform up here. Now, this platform is a really highly contested area. It is defender focused. The defenders do get there first pretty much, leaving it kind of difficult for the attackers to breach onto. But if you're planning on breaching B and you're not going all across the zip, then that is the site you have to control. It offers a good peeker's advantage over onto B site and also stops you through that funnel as you try and come through. It is really important to get there no matter the different route you try. You can flank through this midsection to get there if you want, but it is a very important area to control on the map. Now if we look over to the A side of the map, there's two areas I wanted to focus on. The first one being here is this little bar behind the balcony cannons area here. Now the reason I pointed this out is because I actually think it is quite an interesting area. It's quite good cover actually to sort of survey the area quite well, as long as you've got certain angles already controlled by your team. But I quite like it. It offers some good ways of looking onto the A site, but also covering your flank as well at the same time. And I would recommend that once you have pushed onto the site on attacking side, you do get somebody behind that, so they have that sort of versatility in where they're able to cover for you. The other point of interest I wanted to highlight was actually cannons here, which again is a massively contested area. As you go up the staircase on attacker side and defender side, you get there basically at the same time. This is a massive point where you want to start using your utility to flush them out. Try and look for a cheeky flank route through the bar to get to the enemy staircase. Or what you'll see is there are these two like ledges you can jump off to see through the railings on either side, which are really, really important and offer you a great peek onto the balcony, but don't put you as much risk of being grenaded or semtex or C4'd as you would if you actually went up the staircase itself. Either way, lots of fights happen around that balcony area, so it is important for you to have a look at and try and control if you're focusing on the A side of the map. Looking at the defending positions that I would want to set up, you're looking for mostly long range rogues here. Because of the different lines of sight. It's a very long range map. As I said, there's a lot of funnel points where enemies have to go through quite slowly. So having some DMRs, having some really powerful long range ARs are really, really useful for you. Even a Phantom I think is pretty viable on this map. To defend with the most coordination possible, what I would generally suggest is that you have a defender sitting actually on a site. Something like a Vi or a trench is really good here to set up and hold down the fort, give you enough time to spot the enemy positions so your team can rotate. Again, you do spot enemies really easily on this map before they actually get onto the site. It's not like a surprise breach. You will see them beforehand. You will know where they're going. So that's really important to have some sort of defender there just to slow them down even longer before your team can rotate for you. I would then position some sort of long-range rogue looking down this mid area. Again, mostly it's for information, even if you're not trying to challenge whoever's down there and trying to poke through. Just spotting them cross over from the mid site over to A is going to be really important for your team. So having somebody there, potentially with a gun that can contest any fights, is going to be really useful for you. I would then suggest having some sort of flanker or SMG rogue who is good at flanking on this highly contested area here that I mentioned. The reason for it is because there is some really nice third-person peeks you can hold to stop enemies as they try and get onto the platform, and is generally suited best for an SMG. It also then gives them a lot of diversity about where they could potentially flank to. Either if they've decided to push A, they can run through mid and flank around the back. They can run a slightly longer route round here to go around the back, or they can simply head back back to their spawn and then support their team from behind that way. Going on to attacking then, attacking is definitely the harder point of this, but hopefully this will give you a bit of an idea about the best ways potentially to approach it. When you're attacking A, I would suggest that you again have somebody with a bit of long range just poking down this middle, see if they can get a cheeky pick off, or if they can guard the flank that way. You also then want an SMG rogue or some sort of flanker prepared somewhere at the back to either initiate their own flank or cover the flank so that your longer range rogue can then start to move into the site. You want your breacher probably somewhere in the middle of the site as they approach, obviously behind cover, getting ready to breach onto the site with a longer range rogue at the cannons area I mentioned to contest this and get control of it. Your main goal when you're attacking this is to breach it basically as quick as possible. You really want to control that, and then be careful of this lower area behind the A site where enemies can try and hide behind. You want to control the whole area, then set up your defense ready for when the enemy team come. If we're going to attacking B, then this offers a little bit more difficulty. As I said, it is a kind of funnel route there, so you want to be positioning and playing a lot slower. You want to be looking for a pick to then initiate your push rather than just trying to go headstrong like you potentially will on A. You probably want your two longer range rogues here sort of peeking down this, trying to get a pick, and then have your breacher or one of these long range rogues to go with them down the mid, clear out that mid section, and then push onto the platform this way. Then you sort of do this coordinated attack where your longer range rogue here helps push onto the platform while they come around this way. And ideally, I would definitely suggest you want some form of hard flank here. I play Lancer a lot on this map and it's actually really effective, particularly using smoke grenades, which I'll get onto in a second. But Lancer or some other sort of flanking rogue can go all the way around the back through A and be behind them, or if they're not covering it very well over in this midsection, they can actually also run through mid and get behind them as well. But initiating some sort of flank is generally ideal here. So who are the best rogues? Honestly, there's quite a lot of rogues who are really viable on this map. On attack, I definitely think Dima for the hard breach. He'll almost always be up here. He's the best breacher in terms of AoE damage in the game at the moment, so he's always really useful. Ronin is really good, and Lance are the same because they're good flanks. Ronin obviously is very versatile at using an AR as well for the longer range position, but mostly because they have a smoke grenade, and on attack, smoke grenades and utility are really, really important. If you go into defense, I said I've got these two zone controllers here. Vi and Trench are really, really good to have on your roster on a defense here, just to slow down the enemy. But I've also added talent so that you can get a bit more vision. As I said, this is a really long range map, so having someone there who can offer a little bit more vision is going to be really good, and talent does that job so well. Then in terms of people who are really versatile on either side of the map, honestly, Phantom I think is one of the few maps she's actually really viable on, even in competitive play. Looking for those picks is really good at initiating something on WINDWARD, so I would definitely recommend it here. Dallas, so that you can get the reveal actually on this. Normally I don't rate Dallas reveal, but because the map is so long and your rotations are so long, getting that early information is really important. And then Saint, again, because it's a longer range map, you generally have time to get the drone off before the enemy team can collapse on any picks that they've gotten. So having a Saint there can also be really good on either side of the map. Going on to some final tips then about how I would recommend playing WINDWARD. The first one is pretty much going to be to maximize your utility, whether it be lethals to flush out position, flashbangs to push aggressively, or mostly smoke grenades to block off the really long line angles. I think it's actually really, really good on this map. It's a fantastic strategy to try and use this sort of utility to help coordinate your team, mostly on attack. Obviously, utility on defense is really good as well, but mainly attack is where you need to be utilizing this utility because it's so difficult to actually push on this map. Another tip I have for you on this map is actually to use your flight paths and use your smoke trails really carefully and mix up where you're going on the map. Your biggest bet here is to beat the enemy by getting your bomb down ASAP and not giving them enough time to rotate to help their team. So by using smoke trails to bait them to a different side of the map and then actually switching last minute means you're dealing with less enemies to defend against, and then you can push on, you can get the site, and then they'll have slower rotations to come and stop you once you've planted the bomb. And then my last tip, mainly for defense, is just to be a bit more patient. This actually kind of goes with a lot of play, but really on this map, being patient, let the enemies make the mistakes, give your team good information so that they can rotate and help you, and just wait for them to pop out their heads and take a shot at them. Don't overextend yourself. Don't let them use their utility on you in a way that is going to be really detrimental. Honestly, the attacker's already at a bit of a disadvantage, so if you can get them down to a 4v3, you're going to win that round most of the time. Okay then guys, that's going to take us to the end of the video, and if you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help out. And if you leave a comment about what map you would like to see next, the one that is most popular, I will try and do for you. Make sure you come follow me on twitch.tv/Radthar Gaming to see live game commentaries, guides, and also competitive play when tournaments are happening. All the links you're going to need are in the description below, but other than that guys, I hope you have a fantastic day, and remember, be loyal, be brave, be relentless, and I'll see you in the next video.